Hi everybody, Bob Long, LADC here in the great state of Oklahoma. Let's talk a little bit about anxiety and maybe what we do to bring on this anxiety, okay? There's a lot of good YouTube videos out there on anxiety, and this is probably not one of them, but it's mine, so we'll talk about that. Have you ever borrowed trouble? Okay. And some of you know what I'm talking about, some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but borrowing trouble is really a cognitive distortion where you're actually thinking about the worst possible outcome before the event even happens. For instance, let's say that you have a court date coming up next Friday, okay? Let's say it's 10 days from now. And all of a sudden you start imagining the worst possible thing that could happen, okay? Maybe we're catastrophizing. That's a cognitive distortion. In the world of addiction, it's called stinking thinking, okay? But anyway, let's say that you are, it's a court date, and you just know that you're going to go to prison for 15 years, okay? I don't know what the charge is, okay? But let's say you're thinking the absolute worst possible outcome. And it's going to prevent you from sleeping well at night. It's going to make you irritable during the day. You're going to be depressed. Of course, you're going to be anxious. It's going to impact your physical health. I mean, obviously you're going to be tired if you're not sleeping well at night, but it can also maybe even bring on headaches. It could bring on ulcers. Your brain is that powerful. Your brain can heal you or it can hurt you. So you have to be really careful with the brain. But anyway, so a lot of times we borrow trouble thinking about the worst possible outcome before the event, going to court 10 days away, has even happened. And then when you get to court, they'll say, okay, Mr. Long, it looks like you've done everything that the court has asked of you. We're going to put you on probation for a year. It will be supervised. You will have to take random UAs. And if you successfully complete all that, this will be behind you. Gavel comes down. Now, I was thinking I was going to prison for 15 years. Reality was, I'm going to be on supervised probation. What does that mean? I keep my job. I live in my house. Nothing changes, except I meet with my probation officer whenever, right? And I have to take a UA. Oh my God, I gotta go piss in a cup. By the way, I love this cup. It says, of course I'm right, I'm Bob. But anyway, big deal, right? But I made it something that was going to be the worst possible scenario. And I think many of us do that. We worry about things. We worry about maybe Thanksgiving's coming up, and we're worried about conversations that may or may not happen. We're worried about who may show up and who may not show up, and you're just borrowing trouble. And if you're one of those kind of people that do those kind of things, you need to get control of yourself. I have a sign here in my office that says, don't believe everything you think. And I can't tell you how many times I point to that sign in a single day with my patients. And they go like, you're right, I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. I'm magnifying the situation. I'm doing some catastrophic thinking. I'm mind reading the judge. All of these are cognitive distortions. So anyway, if you're guilty of some of that stuff, knock it off. You're just making your life miserable. And chances are, if you're an addict and you're making that little voice of addiction inside your head is going to be telling you all these really bad things to get you to go use, because your survival part of the brain knows that alcohol is going to calm you down. Matter of fact, if you're an alcoholic and you're having racing thoughts and all this stuff, they stop as soon as you take that first drink. Now, you have misinterpreted that into thinking that alcohol is good for racing thoughts or alcohol is good for taking care of my anxiety. It works, but it works only because that little voice of addiction that wanted it in the first place got what it wanted. Most kids who manipulate will stop manipulating as soon as mom says, I'll get you the candy. Don't give that little voice of addiction the candy if it comes in the form of alcohol, if it comes in the form of marijuana. Let's not do that, okay? Because those substances damage the brain, and it's going to make the symptoms, being anxiety in this case, worse later on down the road. It may take care of it temporarily, but I guarantee you, when you sober up, you'll start thinking about that. And especially if you did some marijuana and you got to have a UA for a court, you just screwed yourself. And you got manipulated into it by that little voice of addiction that loves to talk and loves to lie to you. So, folks, don't believe everything you think. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.